That's beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Really.
Thanks.
Well, baby, you've been on my mind. I think about you all the time. Oh, I want to see your face. That don't make me wait.
Handsome Dan.
And even when I go to sleep.
It's going.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you.
I'm gonna be hugging us up.
What were the plans in South Carolina?
At the time, I thought I would be better off if I took my spreadsheet skills and helped other people with their music.
Okay.
Because deep down, I really wanted to be playing music, but I didn't think that I was that. So, I was going to South Carolina to work for a band. And
Hi, guys. Do y'all do a podcast?
Yeah,
Hi.
Yeah. Welcome.
I wasn't expecting to have to hold a microphone today, so I'm
Don't
feeling
get
sort
me
of
started.
like, oh, hello.
I agree.
Hello.
Okay, so let's take
I've got a
let's-
trick for you if you want to learn.
No,
this
no,
trick,
we're not
just do
doing the
this.
Buffalo Bill. All right. So my
You don't have to
take
hold
on this, is our last studio. We had these really cool, movable.
I'm gonna come sit with you.
I mean, I loved it. Come on in.
Come on.
And it's just hard. I bet as a musician, and you're a singer, you're like, I don't want to hold the mic because how's she gonna? I don't know.
You can get comfortable. Like just bring it with you. Like this is cool.
Well,
you know?
and I'm gonna warn you that
know?
if I were drinking and I got comfortable, this would turn into a comedy show. I don't
That's-
seem like it right
that's
now,
what-
but
Hey,
What
just
do
get
That's
some
what we
drinks in
want.
this
Can I
woman.
interest you
no.
in a
actually.
whiskey
Let's get
drink?
some drinks in
You
this
know
woman.
what?
It's
I
called-
normally would say yes.
It's
but,
called the Handsome Dan.
Oh man.
We literally just had a competition because that's Handsome Dan, and we wanted to name a drink after him. So
Right on.
So we had
And-
3 bartenders make us a drink. We all tasted them,
Taj, Chris, and Angel.
and Angel won.
Angel
and
won?
Handsome Dan voted.
Yes, he did.
So
Although,
next
hold
time you're
on,
here, but
hold
you'll
on.
be here next week, right?
So
Yeah, I'm planning here on Thursday.
yeah,
So
Thursday night, and
Yeah.
then
Oh, this Thursday.
yeah, coming up. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm flying back.
3 days. I'm really feel like I need to bring the heat now that I know that you are flying back.
I am. Well,
I love it.
Did y'all see his face, the camera, when I told him I was flying back? Brandon was like, you could tell. Look, he's looking at his calendar. He doesn't realize that we're shooting next Friday with Jason Tierney.
Is that on my
and
schedule?
that it is, and Levi. So I think I saw you play at Gypsy.
What time?
Did you?
What time
Okay.
do you play on Thursday night?
5 to 8.
5 to 8.
It's all in the elevators. I sent her a picture of it.
I saw that. Yes.
Yep, and she's doing actually Violet Sky if weather permitting.
Oh, weather's gonna be great.
I went up there this
No. Weather's
last
gonna be
night and then
great.
this morning to drink
Yeah.
some coffee and raining and cold, but it's actually cool.
Yeah.
cool
Oh
place.
yeah. I'm stoked. I'm glad that it worked out for us to do this as kind of a happy hour time because
Yeah.
I'll actually be up there as the sun is setting.
And
I don't want to be there at 10
Yeah.
o'clock at night. I want to be there and
I'm going
enjoy
to tell
the
you,
view.
you're going to see some.
Oh yeah,
some
Thursday's
people.
gonna be 29 degrees Celsius. Hold on,
For
I
my
just-
Canadian friends.
Yeah,
For my
he-
Canadian
yeah,
friends.
He has a very good Canadian friend.
Very good. I have to. I have a hard
you
time
Canadian?
converting. Hey, no.
Oh, okay.
He
My,
wants to be so bad.
Yeah.
Actually, he spent so much time there last
My
couple of years.
my
He's probably
fiance
got
is Canadian.
citizenship.
Oh, nice.
Is this
Okay.
the first time he said it?
I think so.
Did you just
Thursday.
get engaged?
I think we
We
just
just got
announced
engaged.
that.
Look at that smile. Oh my
Oh, this
gosh.
is
That's amazing.
Rigby, you pull it out of what the heck? Look at this.
that.
Well, I just wanted to set the record straight in case she had any ideas. And
Oh,
No,
you
I've been listening. I've been
Oh,
I've been
Good.
catching up because I'm all right, I need to be
um,
prepared. Since I don't know you guys, I'm
85.
I need to-
85
Perfect.
American
it.
Fahrenheit.
American.
Yeah,
I
85
find myself
American
saying-
degrees.
It is very
You want to know the
American.
funniest thing about Canadians? Well, there's a lot of.
Where
funny
do we
things.
There's
start?
a lot, and I have a lot of
Alphabetical,
dear Canadian
chronological?
friends.
I
but-
have a lot of dear Canadian friends as well, and I love going there.
Back bacon? I
But
mean, what's this?
no.
Oh.
If you look on the road, everything's in kilometers per hour. So you drive in kilometers per
Right.
hour. If you're doing temperature, you're doing Celsius.
Mm-hmm.
But if you ask any Canadian how much they weigh,
It's all.
they tell you in pounds
Did it really?
instead of kilograms.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because it sounds better.
Or like how much you lift. Like, hey,
Right.
how much you bench, bro?
Is that
Yeah.
They'll tell you
customary?
in pounds. It's just
a
everybody,
bad
like
joke. It's a
every
bad joke.
patient, every
Custom
patient
bad
that I
joke.
asked there, how much
Yeah.
do you weigh? That's what they do.
I actually got the joke.
What did you say?
Is that customary? Customs.
Custom.
Like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
kind of got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you so much. So, you're going to be in Austin the whole week then.
I'm gonna be here the whole week.
Okay.
It is a fun place. Have you spent a lot of time here?
Not really. I just started coming down here this year. I actually made a New Year's resolution to make friends in Texas.
Nice. Okay.
I was like, I'm an Oklahoma musician. I go
Yeah.
north, but I never go to Texas. And I'm like, you have to like get on this. So
was asking me to choose, right? So I'll share a little bit about, I grew up in Texas till I was 9, then grew up in Yukon, Oklahoma. So my background, Rigby, is with all the Yukonites and the musicians and all that stuff. But as soon as I graduated high school in 92, I moved to Texas and played baseball for a little while other places, then moved to Louisiana. My heart got broken a couple times in my life, not as bad as 2 weekends ago when UT absolutely kicked the living shit out of
Destroyed.
my Sooners.
it was the thing.
And my buddy played football for UT. So he took great delight, like a lot of my very good friends down here. You want to get friends here in Texas. I probably got more text messages and messages 2 Saturdays ago from people that I haven't heard from in forever.
I just sent you one text,
You did. And you know what?
and it said boomer.
I will tell you that yours was the nicest.
But you're not a boomer fan, are you?
No.
You couldn't
I'm
be.
not.
You
I live
can't
in
be in
Stillwater.
Stillwater and be a
Yeah,
boomer
she's
fan.
Oh, y'all just had a tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Saturday
our
wasn't
game's
great.
coming up.
Yeah.
And, I think this year's at Stillwater. Gosh dang.
So tell me, first of all,
Yeah. Start over.
we have an amazing guest today. Welcome
Oh.
back to Sleeping Around the Podcast.
Well, he gets mad at me when
Everybody-
I do that. I was going with the flow.
It was fantastic.
welcome back.
I will applaud you for that. Well,
Sleeping
well
Around
done.
the Podcast.
Was this
Yep.
a good enough flow, Handsome Dan?
Yep. Well done.
All right.
You got good.
We are sitting live, currently live.
Yeah.
Recording
AC Hotel.
at the AC Hotel in the Hill Country, southwest Austin. Beautiful place.
Mm-hmm.
Great beds. Great place to lay your head at night.
It is, and it's our new home of Sleeping Around.
New
the
home
Podcast.
of Sleeping Around the Podcast in the lobby. It's been fantastic so far. And we are honored to have a guest who's actually going to be playing here this week
few days. Yeah.
in a few days. Rigby.
Howdy.
Rigby Summer.
Hi.
Rigby Summer.
So Rigby actually reached out to me through the Handsome Dan world of social media.
Did Handsome Dan clap?
He did clap. He got excited.
Wow.
And reached out
Thank
to
you.
me. If I'm getting this wrong, cut me off. I get a lot of things wrong when I talk to women.
I think you reached out to me, actually.
Okay. Okay. Did I?
But I think we had friends who nudged you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we have mutual friends. So this last year, I don't know if you guys remember on the podcast, I talked about that I went to Gypsy Cafe and donated money and time. I have some very good friends in the music world. Some of our friends from the podcast were able to make the trip down. Jack Waters, D.L. Marble. I think even Goolsby was there this year. Highlighted of the evening, Stoney was there. Stoney LaRue hung out on his bus. But the point is to raise a lot of money and have a good time. And I believe you played one of the bars or side stages. If I'm wrong,
Yeah,
I
I was at
apologize.
Stables.
Okay. Yep. So I would go in and out, buy drinks, and go leave, and it was just an awesome. So that's how somebody told me about you. That's
Okay.
what it was. And I'm always big in promoting musicians. Brandon and I are big fans of it. So I said, "What the heck?" So thank you for coming all the way down. Now I walked in on the conversation. You grew up where in Oklahoma?
I didn't grow up in
She didn't
Oklahoma.
grow up in
Okay,
Oklahoma.
it's okay.
I'm a Kansas girl. I'm a
That's okay.
sunflower.
Okay,
So
yeah.
yeah, you'll forgive me. Like that's okay.
No, I love it. I love it up there.
I do too. I
I'm
love
serious.
Kansas City. I grew up about 30, 45 minutes south of Kansas City.
I mean, those guys are crazy. They're crazy fans. They're crazy music. A
Yeah.
lot of Oklahoma artists. Kyle Carter, one of my best friends. A lot of people. Goolsby, all of them were up in Kansas City. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a great town.
That's part of how Goolsby and I met
Okay.
at my first Gypsy Cafe.
Okay.
because somebody was like, "Oh, you're from Kansas City. You need to meet her." And
Yeah.
Well, Kansas City has its own kind of music scene. I mean,
and
they
it's
got a
fun.
Really
and
good.
it's eclectic. Like there's a
Yep.
lot of different stuff
Yep.
going on in Kansas City. Yeah.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough. I love listening to music. I love the red dirt thing. I like folk music. I like it all. This last weekend, let's see how eclectic you are. So there's this band that's pretty popular in Louisiana called 3 a.m. Now, I'm 48, almost 49. I love Matchbox 20.
Yeah.
I've never met a band that did all Matchbox 20 in that 90s, early 2000s music. And it's guys older than me playing music and this amazing lead singer. So I'm going to give them a plug.
And
3 a.m.
All they do is Matchbox.
No, they do a lot of but it's that whole
Yeah.
era. And this guy sounds just like Rob Thomas, so you can get into
crazy.
his old Santana stuff
Yeah,
and
yeah.
solo stuff. But man, he does live. They do. I mean, it is so that range of my music. That's fun. You would 3.
I would love that. Yeah,
and they were
for
so
sure.
good.
Yeah.
About 8-piece band, so they get
Oh,
all the music and the singers. He's a little younger than those guys, and great pipes. Typical lead singer, short, can wail. Every great lead singer is short.
Were you
Like
pointing
who?
at me for being a
Huh?
Like who?
Name
short-
Are you a
somebody.
short lead singer?
Short lead
Kansas
singer?
City?
Name a lead singer. And don't say Midnight Oil. That dude's like almost 7 foot
Or
tall.
like how tall is Steven Tyler?
Short.
Like
Took a
5'7",
picture with-
5'8"?
Yeah. Keep going.
You took a picture
and
with
he
him?
wears heels.
Yeah.
So no, I'm not. Dave
Well
Grohl. Love Dave. He's my favorite of all time. Not that tall.
What about
Phil Collins. He did Genesis and he did
there's got to be some tall lead singers.
the lead singer Disturbed.
How tall is Adam Levine?
Not that tall.
He's
5'10"?
He's little.
That's what I'm saying.
8?
No,
Yeah.
he's
So my point is, Rigby, you can jump in any time and help me out here. Anyways, the
Gary
3
Clark
a.m.,
count?
it was good music. The last time I saw a tribute band to the 90s, I was in Kansas City. I was going to the Argosy for a Phillips regional meeting, and we went down to...
That sounds like a
What's
casino.
it called? It was. That's what... It's a circle. It's right next to the stadium, but it's where people play music. There's bars all around it.
Like in the was it downtown?
Yes.
In the Power and Light District?
Boom. Man,
Yeah.
it is. They had zip line. Dude, it was the craziest,
Well-
most fun. And
So
Brett
this is
Michaels-
when you heard 3 a.m. or somebody
No,
else?
no, when just another 90s
Okay.
tribute. Usually they tribute like Kiss or they tribute, I don't know, some Journey. They tribute.
There's
other bands.
actually an incredible Talking Heads tribute band in Kansas City
Shut up.
that
Is the
some
lead
friends are,
singer
and I'm not
also
even
short?
a huge.
I love Talking Heads.
I'm not a huge Talking Heads fan, but like they have made me a Talking Heads fan because they are that good.
So Talking Heads.
That's
I'm
funny.
biased
It's like
because two
you
of my
saw-
friends are in the band.
Oh, hold
but
on.
like-
So the truth
but,
comes out. Yeah.
Like when I was invited the first time to one of their shows, I was like, I mean, I'm coming because I love you, but like I'm not coming
So
because
it-
you know, like I
total
wasn't really
80s,
sure, and it
total
was
80s.
unbelievable.
But again, total 80s.
Unbelievable.
But yeah.
Yeah,
Do you know Talking Heads?
No.
you
Oh,
do, but
come
you just
on.
you do,
I mean,
but you don't
I
realize
do,
you
but
do.
I don't. Yeah.
What's the famous one that you would know, like off of MTV? See yourself in a brand new house with a brand
Yeah,
new wife.
I can't remember the actual name
As
of
the
song.
days go by,
Yeah, yeah,
let
yeah.
the water
Dun,
run.
dun,
Was
dun,
that
Yeah.
an eye roll?
Days go
Did
by.
you see that? He was
No.
like,
Well,
yeah,
he's
okay.
just bragging because tonight he's seeing Black Keys, and next week he's seeing Post Malone, and I sent him to see Mark Bruce. He's spoiled. He's spoiled with music.
I'm a little spoiled.
Is Post Malone the one that has the song about the sunflowers that somebody
Yeah,
else?
yeah. Sunflowers and
She said sunflowers earlier, and it made me think. I
It's,
think
There we go. It's the theme
that
for
was
the
on
day.
the Spider-Man. Welcome to the multiverse or multi-universe.
Don't see
Spider-Man
now. I'll
movie.
roll my eyes.
Yeah.
No clue. All I'm hearing is blah blah blah
Yeah.
blah. Spider-Man. Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. Welcome to the multiverse.
Sure.
It was awesome.
Okay,
It was
so-
cool. You don't have kids.
I do have kids.
You don't have kids that like Spider-Man.
I don't have kids that young. I used to love Spider-Man as a kid. I had Spider-Man wallpaper. I had
If you
Spider-Man
really-
underoos.
If you really love Spider-Man, then you'd be up to date with
No,
all the Spider-Man
because I'm
movies.
almost 49, and I
I
don't-
still like all the Spider-Man.
You like
movies.
Batman. I thought you were
am
Batman.
Yeah, Batman.
Anyways, Rigby.
Anyway,
Without getting
Thank
into
you for
our,
being here.
anyway,
our
thanks
nerd,
for
our
having me.
nerdville.
Well, I want to get back to something because we were talking
Okay.
about Oklahoma music.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I go north, but I don't go south, and you want to make some Texas friends.
Right.
Yes.
So I'm so glad you're here to make Texas friends.
New Year's
'cause
resolution.
A lot of Okies don't really care to make Texas friends.
That
At
is
least
such
I
a
feel like
perception.
well, that is my perception.
No, because the only
So-
time you would see him at the Red River
But
rivalry.
is that a thing? Like, is that like an Oklahoma thing? Like, we don't want to play in Texas. We're too good for Texas, or we just like so we go north, but we don't go.
If
there?
anything, I have felt like the opposite, like that it's been hard to like
because Texas doesn't want you
get
there.
the invitation to Texas. But I am a door kicker sometimes. So I was like,
gonna
no,
say,
you're going to love me.
you don't really
I'm going to
need-
come down
yeah.
here and you're going to love me.
Isn't that a song?
So this is my 4th trip down
Yeah.
here this year. And I was
Okay.
actually thinking about this as I was driving in today because I have patrons who live in San Marcos, which I was
Okay.
corrected very quickly. Where I'm from, we say San Marcos.
no.
And holy cow.
I put an extra
I was
S
like,
in
well,
your
welcome
prom.
to Texas. You guys are not like
I know, and I say the
and
wrong.
making me want to be here right now.
In the town next to it, I add an S. New Braunfels.
Yes.
not
New
Braun-
Bronzefuls,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah.
How
Have you-
about
what about
Blanco?
Burnett? You've been through Burnett?
I don't think
A
so.
lot of people say Burnett,
Yeah.
but it's Burnett.
Blanco,
Burnett.
Texas.
But
Blanco
yeah,
or
so
Blanco?
the fortunate thing is I have these patrons, good friends of mine who used to live in Stillwater that have moved to San Marcos
Yeah.
and have basically like given me a key to their house. And they're like,
Yeah.
even if we're not here, like anytime
Awesome.
you want to come down, like I got in
Sweet.
at literally 3:00 this morning and just
Yeah.
let myself in.
So
but
when you come down, you're playing in different places here in Texas now, or
this trip, I'm just playing here
Got
and
it.
working on making friends this week. I'm learning like
Okay.
where the different hangs are every night
Okay.
of the week and
Yeah.
where there's
I can definitely help you with
Yeah.
the off camera. I'll give
Yeah.
you spots. Especially, are you going back to San Marcos?
yep.
Okay,
Marcos.
so you like that. So no,
What
there's areas in between here and there that there's some really
there's
cool
there's some real cool places in San Marcos that
Oh,
have
Yeah.
in that little downtown area. There's some good music areas down there.
Well, and Cheatham Street still has the
Yep.
the Wednesday night
Yep.
songwriter
Yep.
Yep.
evening. And the first time I came down was in January, and I found out about the Cheatham Street one, Redbird listening room on Thursday nights.
There you go. That's green.
And
right next to, so
they're-
green has
Yeah.
all those. So Cheatham Street and all
Yeah.
it's in green. But
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
Green, yep.
Very good. Yeah, I noticed your hat.
Well, I was just there this last weekend.
Oh,
and
nice.
It's just, yeah, I was at Canyon Lake, another place. I met a couple bars around there. Again, I'll tell you this off. I don't want to bore too many of our listeners with places, but
Yeah.
man, there's so many opportunities. And what I find with Texas people, whether you're from Oklahoma, Kansas, anywhere, very welcoming, especially in the music scene.
Yeah.
man.
I think so.
Especially.
I feel like there's a particular sweet spot in those places just south of here, like in Green, New Braunfels,
Well, I-
San Marcos, like all of that. Like if I were not to like spit on Austin or anything, but if I were to live
No.
down here,
Yeah.
I think I would want to live
Well,
in
watch
that
this.
area
Watch
because
this. Everybody would.
but like the time that I've spent kind of like circulating here in Austin on these few trips this year versus the time that I've spent there, it doesn't feel competitive down there. It's just like
Well,
let's
well,
share. It's about
yeah.
the song
Well,
first,
Rigby,
not about like
Here's the big difference. I
Yeah.
call it hill country, right?
Yeah,
And
of
I
course.
didn't come up with that. But that hill country
didn't?
feel from no, I didn't.
You didn't coin that? Oh my gosh, I'm sitting here with the man who coined the term hill country.
But the hill country is awesome for that. And
Mm-hmm.
you're right. It's probably that spirit started with Lukenbach back.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say
when.
Brazos also, like if you go really truly Austin out towards College Station,
Hmm.
down towards the western outskirts, Brazoria County,
Yeah.
South Texas there, over towards San Antonio, and then up towards like Fredericksburg,
Right.
and that circle,
Yeah.
and maybe not all of Austin, but parts of Austin, that's like happy music circle of Texas.
See, now he came up with that one. So
Happy
if
Music
it gets
Circle.
started
The Happy
calling
Music
Happy
Circle.
Music
That's
Circle
the
of
Happy
Texas,
Music Circle of Texas.
we got
right
the.
there.
Are
But it
you
has
what,
nothing
what
to
are you
do with
about
the
to say?
actual town of Happy.
No,
What about-
no,
Right.
no,
Oh,
not
what?
no. It has nothing to do
Is
with
Happy
Happy.
going to get salty if it's not included in the
I love
Happy
Happy
Circle?
Texas.
What?
What's your-
I think you're about to do it, but what do you mean by that? Like happy style music?
What
Just
I,
like
no, what
the
I
musicians,
mean by that
there's a lot of work
is that's where everybody loves live music.
there. I see.
That's where the
okay,
good
lot of work.
songwriters are.
no,
So
Happy
that's
is an
where-
acronym.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
That's-
hippies, assholes, preppies, pretties and young
Punks.
kids and punks and young kids
and yahoos.
There you go.
and young.
Those peas almost got
But
sketchy.
that's where
There's
like
3 P's.
when you're coming up on Texas
Peking.
country, Peking
Exactly.
duck. When you're coming up on Texas country and you're wanting to go see all the music festivals and you're wanting to go see, whether it's Chili Fest or Lukenbach or whatever else is down around, or you want to go down to Green Hall, or you want to those are the places where you're hopping in the car and driving on Thursday and Friday to go see the shows. Any of those along that circle.
Yeah.
At least that was me back in the college years or the dental school years.
Right. So you don't do any of that now?
Well, still do, but probably not to that same degree.
Well, I just said how many concerts are you going to in the next 2 weeks? I think you do well.
Don't go into.
You have your own little happy place.
Yeah.
Rigby, how long have you been playing music?
Depends on how you want me to answer that question.
I want you to be honest.
Well, I
I'm
mean,
sorry.
the first time I wrote a song, I was probably 6 or 7 years old, and I had this little wind up. It was a radio that you wound it up and then it would play a song. And I think I might be the only 80s kid who never saw Mary Poppins. Like, I just never watched it. It was never a show that like I was excited to watch. Never. I don't think I've ever seen it all the way through. But the song on this radio.
Still to this day, you've never seen it?
I don't think I've seen it.
Oh, boy.
I mean, I've seen parts of it, but I have not ever sat down and watched Mary Poppins start to finish. But the song on this radio was "Let's Go Fly a Kite."
There you go.
Since I'd never seen the movie, I had no idea that's what the song that was playing was, and the words were on the back.
Okay.
And I was just like, "There's this like poem on the back of this
pretty
toy."
cool.
Like,
Yeah.
okay. And so my childhood best friend Jamie and I were sitting at the piano at my parents' house, 6 or 7 years old, and we made up a rock version of "Let's Go Fly a
All right.
Kite."
So we do this on the podcast. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
That's hilarious.
That's cool.
There was
Rock
a lot
version.
of banging on the keys,
Yeah.
so I didn't know how to play yet. But yeah, so music was just always around. We had a piano.
Okay.
Growing up, my grandfather was actually like an incredible organist.
Okay.
I come from like very German, Lutheran, Nebraska, Kansas roots,
Huh.
and
Y'all never fight.
So what's that?
Nothing.
Say that again.
I said y'all never fight.
No.
Just kidding. Yeah.
Yeah. That's another off-camera conversation.
Oh, boy.
But,
Oh, okay. Yeah, still,
so
yeah.
anyway, I just totally lost my train
No,
of thought.
so
That
you
was
grew up
bizarre.
that way.
Growing
So I
up in
grew
music.
Grew
Mixture.
up.
piano.
Like,
Did you take lessons? Piano lessons?
I did eventually, but I mean, music was just always around, and like I don't remember ever not knowing how to sing harmony. Like
Wow.
I listen to music, and I immediately like
Go there.
go to the harmonies, and
Well, if your grandfather was an organist, and you did kind of mention a little bit of the church, was it at the church or was it part? Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So
And that's hardcore, man.
So, like music was just always around for me, but I didn't have parents who were super music fans. Like they weren't like indoctrinating me with music or anything, but it was another thing that was like always around. The radio was always on. Like it was part of life, but,
But neither one of them were professional or played music a lot, or
no, it's funny though, because my mom was like the person in the church who always got asked to sing in weddings. So
Wedding
she
singer.
always loved singing.
That's cool.
And now she would tell you that she never had that great of a voice. And I'm like,
Yeah.
are you forgetting half your life? Are you kidding, Mom? And I think one time she actually revealed to me that had been a dream. Like one of her little
Wow.
dreams was to sing. But
That's cool.
I caught her in like a super vulnerable moment.
Yeah.
And she shared that with me, I think. But
Well, I will
That's
tell
okay.
you, I think that it had to come from somewhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you just talked about your grandfather who played in the church. Your mom was very talented, just didn't do it for a living, right? Just did
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
the wedding singer thing. When did you kind of know? So I'm the opposite of you, meaning I love music. My parents always had music, but when I hear something, I don't go to harmony, I go to melody. But
Yeah.
I can't sing. I think I can. And in the shower, I'm pretty good. When I was younger, I was all right. But like, so you just always knew. It's almost like it's a gift, innate, that no matter when you heard, you just could go to harmony.
well, and it was it's funny, like now the point in my life that I'm at, I can look back and realize all the ways that I did always know that I wanted to be playing music, making music, singing, like,
Right.
but it's taken me a very long time to like really fully come into that in any
Okay.
way, probably largely because of like the very Midwestern I mean, I shouldn't say serious. My family's not that serious. Like we're pretty fun, but like definitely practical,
Okay.
you know?
So it's like, hey, what do you want to be when you get older? You don't say a singer.
Right.
Because it's not practical.
Right.
You could do that on the side, wedding, but you need a job.
Right.
That's what you're talking about?
Right. You've met
Okay.
my dad.
Well,
And I
thank
love
you.
my dad, but
Well, thank you. I'll be
I
your
said
dad
you've
right now.
met. I didn't say you are my dad.
okay,
I said
sorry.
you've
No,
met.
okay.
You've had that conversation, have you? Yeah.
Well,
so
no, I've heard it.
Yeah,
Right? 'Cause
yeah.
Where I grew up, it's pretty cool. Brandon likes to not make fun of me, but just he's still in shock. What was popular in my high school growing up wasn't popular in a lot of high schools. Being in choir, show choir, even singing, dancing was, what the popular, not like Footloose, but like, we were really into,
Yeah.
we loved going out and doing that stuff.
Yeah.
And for me not to know, I thought everybody was like that until I got to college and they're like, what do you mean you want to go dancing?
right.
Like, well, you want to go dance? Yeah, man. Let's
Yeah.
go dance. So, but the singing, I don't know. I think that I totally understand it because I've had friends of mine that really wanted to pursue their career, which is a singing career, which is unique. And I think we're going to get into this a little bit. We know some of the same people. They did the regular 8, I love when people say 9 to 5. What's a 9 to 5?
Yeah.
The regular job up until like they were 30 something. They went, wait, I want to follow my passion.
Right.
I want to sing.
Yeah.
I want to do this for a living. So.
Well, and like at the risk of making it sound like I had some sort of like oppressive parents, because I didn't. Like my parents, I feel like I came from this like very interesting like mishmash upbringing where for sure, especially from my mom, but also from my dad, my brother and I were always told like you can be whatever you want to be. Like
Yeah.
you are your only limit. Like those are things that they definitely
Hold on one
instilled in
second.
us.
Dan, you are your only limit.
Say that one more time.
You
You're your
are your
only
only limit.
That is 100% correct.
Okay. Go ahead, Rigby.
And so I get very distracted really easily. Sorry
He's
about
handsome.
that. Yeah.
No, I think
But
when your parents said that to you.
so like, but I also was a youngest child, and there's a whole thing. Like we don't need to like turn it into like the therapy couch or anything. But I lost my brother to lymphoma when I was in high school, which was also like very formative for me, obviously, because
Yeah.
for 4 years of my high school existence, where most people are just like living life, being 15, like I lived with the reality that like this person very close to me might die,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And then ultimately that happened. And so what I feel like that has created for me was this situation where like, yes, I was told I could be whatever, but I put on myself probably more than anything had this feeling of like, but I have to like make my family proud, like do what is good for my family.
Right.
And there are a lot of things besides music and theater and all of that, things that I did in high school that people in my family, I think through that process of me starting to like perform in choir, do musical theater and all that kind of thing, in high school started to see like, oh, wait a second, like this is something she's kind of good at. But I had all these other things. My coping mechanism through all of that had been to like throw my life into all of my activities. So I was like president of everything and like involved in a lot of different ways. And so there were plenty of ways that I sort of got like the validation that you're looking for as a teenager.
Love affirmation.
Much more like readily than from music or theater, because there's always in school like the kids who rise up that everybody's like, oh, they're probably going to go to New York someday. Oh, they're going to be this. And I wasn't that kid. So it's kind of like, oh, well, this is something I want, but nobody else has ever like plucked me out and been like, oh, you must be the one who's going to go do all the things. And ironically, most of the people I grew up with who were going to be those people
I know where
like
you're going with this.
aren't
They're
doing
not
that
the-
anymore.
yeah,
There's
yeah.
a couple of them that are,
Right.
but like, yeah, I had a full circle moment a few years ago. I was in Kansas City for Folk Alliance and took an afternoon to go to one of my favorite coffee shops, a mile or two from the hotel. And I walked in And this girl, I hadn't seen her probably since high school. And she was the person I grew up with who like was singing all of the
National anthem.
like doing like she was like the country singer that everybody was like, oh, she's gonna be that. And she was at this coffee shop with her like 4 kids.
Yeah.
And I walked in and I was like, oh my gosh. And she was like, oh my gosh. And we sat and caught up. And it was just this weird like full circle moment where I don't know.
You're
just
like,
life is
you're like,
funny.
so what are you doing now? And she tells you, and she goes, what are you doing now? And you're like, I'm doing what I thought you were.
Yeah,
doing.
it was really and it wasn't like prideful. It was just as you get older and start piecing together the way life works and things pan out, and it's like, man, these things that I freaked out about so much when I was 16 or 20 or 25 or 30 or whatever, that now it's like, oh wait, like,
oh well, yeah.
no, like there's a plan.
When you saw her, did you feel like that could have been like your, like did you see an alternate existence? Did you feel like
yes
you were
and
looking at
no?
what you could
Like,
It's a
yes
great
and
question,
no.
Dan.
It is a great question, because the other wacky thing for me is that as a kid, like, I remember being 7 or 8 and telling my parents that I was going to learn to speak Italian and move to Italy, and they'd never see me again. Like, and it wasn't because I hated my parents. It was like, I'm going to go do things. Like, I'm going to see stuff. And I always in the back of my head thought I would have a family.
Yeah.
But like, that was not first and foremost. I'm not going to say I never played house, but like I played concert, or I played office, or I played like, I was always much more intrigued by like
Occupational versus
going and doing these
the
other
thing.
things.
Yeah.
In fact, I just realized I'm going to grab something out of this
do
bag.
your thing.
Come on.
I got to show you this. I just realized this was in my bag when I was getting things together. This is my songs for concert.
Whoa.
We got to get a shout
That's
out.
I know,
hilarious.
right? That
That's hilarious.
when
And
I was
I
probably 6 years old.
yeah,
Hold on, Dan. This is
you forgot the R on this one. It
Oh,
sounds,
yeah. Oh,
sounds
yeah.
faux concert.
So Dan, this is a tape cassette. No. So when we were,
Put it in the Smithsonian, Dan.
yeah,
Yeah, my brother ruined, I think I've said this on the podcast before, my brother ruined my mom's cassette player with raisins. He put a bunch of
stop
it was either a
it.
cassette player or a record player, I don't remember, but he put raisins in it and
Raisins.
destroyed that.
I love it
All
because
right.
I probably already
Real
said this
quick.
before.
Okay.
I don't remember which one it was. No, so that
I got to tell you about this this tape though.
Please.
So what this is again, I was probably 6 years old, and my neighborhood best friend Chris Collodi, I have no idea where he is now.
Well, you just gave him a
like,
shout
oh.
out. You just gave him a shout out.
So we decided that we were going to put on a concert for the neighborhood. Now, mind you, what this meant in our minds, and now I know maybe this isn't so far off from reality, we came up with this tape, and I haven't played this. I'm wondering like what's on it, if it even still plays. But like, we made this mixtape, and basically we were going to lip sync off the back
Perfect.
steps at his house.
But did you have a
And
flashlight to sing into?
I
or-
don't remember what
Okay.
we used for microphones, but I do remember that we took notebook paper or maybe our tablets or something like that, and like we made flyers and we took them to everyone on our block that for a penny you could come to
Look
our
at
concert
you.
in the
Now
backyard.
I gotta ask.
So I was a
how,
promoter from
how
a
did
very
you
early
make
age.
how was the turnout?
I don't remember that. Like,
Oh,
I think like
man.
maybe a few of the kids showed up, but it's like one of these weird memories that now, like for years, just seem sort of inconsequential. And now I'm like, oh, like it's
How did you make the flyers? Did you like Sharpie, or you went to a place?
just like pens and pencils,
I was
probably
thinking
markers.
of the notepad
Yeah.
that we used to have growing up. And
Show.
I'm
There's one.
hoping maybe like I'm helping my parents go through a lot of stuff in their house, like slowly starting the process of downsizing, and I'm hoping that in the midst of that I will unearth one of the flyers. This is a
Yeah,
recent find
unearth.
That's
in my
hilarious.
teenage bedroom. I was like, I was digging through some stuff and I found it, and I was
All right, Rigby, I love
do you know what
asking
this
this.
is?
I love asking this question. Well, first of all, it sounds like you've had music as part of
yeah.
this journey.
Yeah.
Your teenage self, because you brought it up, but I haven't asked this question in a minute. If I was in your room as a teenager looking on the walls, what posters did you have, or what what did you have on your walls as a teenager?
I didn't have a ton of posters. I did, and I think this is still on the wall at my parents' house.
Oh my God, that's
seriously. There is an X-Files movie poster because I was
David
like
Duchovny
super
is-
into the X-Files. I had the house that we moved into when I was in high school. It was an old farmhouse that had been added onto, and I took the room that basically used to be the, what do you call it, the cubicle at the top with 4 dormers. I don't have any. I only had one wall that was flat and straight. Everything else was vaulted. So the one straight wall, and my mom and I just dismantled this when I was home last weekend. It was a collage of like all of these pictures that I had taken with friends, and like I traveled a lot when I was in high school, and so I would cut out like a lot of them I actually had cut around and like made this collage. And
That's cool.
Yeah. So
Well, Brandon growing up, he had
oh Lord.
what? I'm asking.
What did I have?
Well, you told me once. You said you had
I had
Richard Simmons, Sweating to the Oldies.
I was like,
What?
the zinger's
Yeah.
coming, you know,
No,
it's coming.
Kermit the Frog.
I had, believe it or not,
I'm just-
I don't remember what I had. I had a lot of stuff.
Oh,
on
I
the
know
walls, though.
exactly. I could
I
close
had,
my eyes and
like,
see my room.
I think it was like
too.
The Offspring,
yeah.
and I
Yep.
had Alanis Morissette,
Yep.
and
Jagged Little
I
Pill.
probably had some like, what was her name? Playboy.
Pamela Anderson.
No, not Pamela Anderson. The other blonde, Jenny McCarthy.
Yeah, Jenny
Yeah.
McCarthy.
Okay.
Look
Yeah.
at him. He doesn't even
No,
know.
I do. Barely.
So my room, I'll go next. My room, so I used to love rock and roll, and now they call it hair metal, but all of my wall, I had Judas Priest, Ozzy Osbourne, Motley Crue, Cinderella. One of my favorite, which is kind of a little different, I was just telling a friend this, I used to love Billy Idol. I thought he was like the coolest dude. I'm showing you kind of my age range, but my parents were one of those that were really cool. Like I could hang all of it. But the one joke was Motley Crue came out with Shout at the Devil, and I couldn't buy the album because it had the pentagram on it. I had to buy the tape. And then the poster, I couldn't get the poster of Looks That Kill, the same album, because it had a pentagram on it. That's the only thing my Catholic mother was like, you can have all that other stuff,
Oh my
but you
gosh.
could have a pentagram. So that was mine. Dan,
I had LeBron.
what's your room look like right now? No, I'm kidding.
I mean, it looks pretty good right now.
Okay.
But no, I had LeBron James, Tim Duncan,
Yeah,
Dwayne
your
Wade.
sports, yeah.
It was all basketball.
Yeah,
and
I
then,
had a lot of that too.
Yeah, I
Not
took.
me.
I worked at American Eagle for like a year and a half or two, and I took some of the promo stuff because
Yeah.
it looked like a party. So I put like this party looking promotional thing on my
Look
wall.
at you.
Yeah, it was cool.
So our bedrooms
I have photos of
all
that.
were little-
If I can find footage of that, I'll.
So
I'll
if
fi- I'll
we're
put it in.
kind of doing a deep dive, like she cared about her friends in science fiction.
Well,
He was already
wanna
looking
know.
at. Hold on, he was
Yep.
already
That's
doing
my
the
life in a
Playmate
nutshell.
thing.
My
wanna
friends
know,
and my science fiction.
When you pictured Italy, was there a specific place in Italy
Great
that you were
question.
going
I was going to
to?
ask
I
why
don't-
Italy too.
Okay,
yeah.
but like
Good
here's
question.
what
Like,
I
you
think.
saw Pepe Le Pew.
You know what's
That's-
hilarious about this? Here's what I think the actual real reason for this was, and this is where I'm going to totally date myself, is I wanted to be Samantha Maselli from Who's the Boss.
That's right. So Sam, what you went by.
I
And
wanted
don't
to be
feel
her.
bad. Don't feel bad. Handsome Dan dates himself frequently.
I was going to say,
I mean,
dating
LeBron
yourself's
James,
not the worst
LeBron
thing
James
in the world.
in your teenage bedroom. I'm like, oh gosh.
Yeah,
Wow.
I've dated myself most
Wow.
of my life.
No, so it's funny because Sam, obviously, what a great, Alyssa Milano has gone on to do some good and not so good stuff. Poison Ivy 2, not a good movie. But I will tell
You
you
can't
that,
win 'em all, man.
And her new politics are a little weird. But I think it's funny that when we were, the visions and who we were, is if we look back, just a little sample size of our rooms is kind of where we are now. We kind of laugh at stuff, but I still love that music.
Mm-hmm.
Like I still remember conversations I had around that music. If I heard a song today, it would bring me back. I'm sure if you guys saw the posters or something online or whatever, it'd bring you back. You had a unique existence because when I think of that barn loft, and that I've seen them a lot in Oklahoma, where kids would actually move up there and do that. Besides, what's the movie? God dang it. with Patrick Swayze, where he's the bouncer.
Roadhouse.
Roadhouse, he was up in one doing it.
I almost jokingly said Roadhouse, and
No,
then
it
I
is. It's
realized
Roadhouse.
it's
It
actually
is
what you were
Roadhouse.
talking about.
But you
Actual
the way you
Roadhouse.
described
Ghost.
it
It
was
was
perfect.
Ghost,
No,
right?
no, it was because there is no flat wall. There, everything's
Right.
at angles
Yeah.
except that one.
Yeah.
So-
To be clear, this was an actual house that I was in. I
Right,
wasn't
right.
living in a barn, but yeah.
Well, no,
Yeah.
you're so protective of your family, by the way. Like, I didn't mean to say that. Well, they did the best they could. They're really good people. Rigby, when you decided to make this journey into music, was it, and if this isn't a fair question, so when you graduated high school, what did you do after high school? Was it
After high school, I went to K-State.
okay?
I was one
They
of those,
also beat OU. If we're just going to throw it out there,
mean-
I'm having a hell of a year.
You brought it up.
No, I did.
Just
Great
so
school,
you know.
by the way. Great school.
Oh, I was really involved in 4-H growing up, and so I spent a lot of time at K-State just for 4-H stuff. My parents met at K-State,
Wow.
and my brother passed away the
Right.
summer before my senior year
Okay.
of high school.
Right.
And so I had applied to some out-of-state schools, and there's actually that's a whole other funny story arc. But suffice to say, I ended up at K-State largely because it was already home. Like, I'd spent
Right.
so much time there.
Yeah.
My
Familiar.
parents met there. Like, it was familiar.
Right.
And there was actually a snafu with my first choice out-of-state school, which was American University. They lost my ACT scores.
Wow.
And
God, I
so
wish someone would lose mine.
I didn't I didn't get my acceptance until I had already put in a semester at K-State. And at that point I was so I loved college. Like,
Right.
I loved college.
So what did
Like,
you major in?
I ended up majoring in French and international studies.
Here we go. So
Yeah.
now we're
Yeah.
What do you mean ended up?
Well, I started out I was a weirdly ambitious
Rigby's like,
kid.
I thought I was just going to play music. What do
No.
you guys
No. Like, I've been wondering like how this was going to go, because I've been like kind of binging the podcast to like
Yeah.
get the vibe,
Thank
right?
You. Thank you.
And so, so anyway, I was a weirdly ambitious kid. I think probably largely because of things that were going on in my family. So I had gotten lots of scholarship money from talking about like how I was going to like go to med school and law school and be involved in like all of this stuff. And I started out biology,
Okay.
poli-sci, double
Okay.
major.
And then ended up in, hey, by the way, international studies and all, that's pretty good.
Well, I also knew that I wanted.
I mean, I met a bartender today who graduated from Cal Berkeley. Too
Yeah.
soon? Okay. No, what I'm saying
So-
is it doesn't matter what you,
Right.
it's what
well,
you're passionate
but
about.
at the time when you're
Right.
18, like you think,
Right.
oh my gosh, I have got to make the right decision here.
Yeah.
And instead, the thing that happened for me halfway through college was I reached the age that my brother had never gotten to.
Oh, wow.
And he had been like my blueprint my
Right.
whole life.
Right.
If I didn't know what to do, it was like, well, that worked for him. So
And what was his
I'll
name?
do that. His name was Eric.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Eric, whatever Eric was, he could do
Yeah.
it first, and if he failed, then I would know what to,
Yeah,
kinda-
yeah. And so, and it was a pretty safe blueprint to follow. But
Sure.
then once I reached the age that I didn't have that blueprint anymore, it kind of like launched me into this first existential crisis of my life of figuring out like, well, what do I want? I started to realize all these things that I'd been doing. Nobody else had said you have to do it this way or you have to do that. But I had put pressure on myself to live up to a certain expectation. I realized it was everybody else's,
It was
like
your
my perception.
It was your perception that that's what you
Yes.
needed to do, or that's what they wanted
Right.
you to do.
Right.
Yeah.
And so now it was like, well, what do I want to do? And what
Nice.
I wanted to do was to go to Europe for a semester. So,
I love
which I
it.
knew for a long time. Like there was a 4-H
love it.
exchange that I wanted to do. And
Yeah.
so my sophomore year, I raised the money. I was not going to school. I was like living on farms. I was like hanging
So
out.
for
like,
our audience that don't, do you know what 4-H is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just real quick, 4-H is what?
So 4-H is a youth organization that, I mean, I could deep dive into the history, but we
It's
won't.
basically
But like,
Boy Scouts for cowboys, right?
No.
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 Am I wrong?
You're wrong.
So that's
it
FFA,
was
but okay.
rooted. It was rooted in agriculture and home economics
Yes.
originally.
The 4-H's.
But as it has evolved with the times and
Right.
all of that, it has really grown into. It's essentially an organization where kids anywhere from 6 to 18 can like choose topics of their interest and learn about them. So like you
Right.
choose projects every year. And
So I'm very
like,
wrong.
yeah,
Yeah, very
I
wrong.
mean,
Yeah, no.
not to put too fine a
No,
point on that, but you're wrong.
It's not
Dan,
the first nor the
thing is
last.
admitting it. So,
It's all right. That's,
so
I always
that's
do.
a mark of character. I like
so
that.
I love that you did that though, because you
Yeah.
literally said it, and I'm not saying it was the first time in your life. You're like, well, I don't have this blueprint with Eric anymore. I'm already doing this whole track. I want to do what I want to do. I want to go overseas. I want to
Yeah.
study abroad.
Well, and I had known that, like, this is another thing, like, as a child, because I remember the first time I heard someone from this program that I eventually went on.
Right.
She had been to, I can't remember what country, but a country in Africa. And I remember watching her presentation when I was in elementary school, and I was like, I'm going to do that someday. Like, I'm going to do this
That's
program
awesome.
someday. And so I knew that I didn't want to study abroad. I wanted to be an IFE. That's what it's called, International 4-H Youth Exchange. And so I did, and I ended up getting placed in Luxembourg. And essentially, like, really the beginning of the whole, like, crisis of who am I happened right after that trip. Right. And I had accrued so many independent study credits in French from preparing for the trip and what I got for taking that trip, that second semester of my sophomore year, I got back to K-State, and I basically sat down and figured out all my credits and how could I graduate the fastest? Basically, like I don't think dropping out of college is an option in my family.
Sure.
So like, how can I finish this as quickly as possible?
Yeah, as fast as possible.
And so like, I actually had an ag econ minor that I dropped because I hated ag market structures so much that I was like, all right, if I drop this class and just drop the minor, I can graduate on time and peace out, move on with my life.
So moving on with your life looks like what, Rigby?
Back
then.
Well, oh man, like I could tell you stories for hours, and I know we don't have hours, but the first inkling that started to shift me towards music was my senior year of college. I had this grand plan to go study at a university in Quebec for a semester that I felt very strongly prompted in the middle of that summer while on a trip to France. Like, don't go. You're supposed to be in Manhattan. So I stayed.
Manhattan, Kansas.
Little Apple.
I stayed, and that semester met friends that were basically the first people I ever played in a band with.
Okay.
And also had an opportunity to put together and promote a show for one of my favorite bands at the time, which was this band from South Carolina. That ultimately I almost moved to South Carolina to work with them after graduation.
Can we say their name?
Siler's Bald was their name. Yeah. So they're a Christian band.
Thought for
from
sure
South
you were going to
Carolina.
say Hootie and the Blowfish. I was like, I know those guys.
Yeah, right. They were from Columbia though.
Yeah,
So
thank you.
so yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's good. So the Christian base.
So
okay.
yeah, so and that's a whole crazy arc. They were like, we're moving to Nashville at the end of the summer, so you should wait and move with us there then. But I just had this feeling. I was like, I don't think it's gonna happen. Like I don't know what to do, but I don't think it's gonna happen. So much to my dad's chagrin, when he was like, well, you need to get a job, is what you need to do. So I
my dad. So
right,
again, we
right.
must have this. Yeah.
So I went and got myself a job at a new restaurant that was opening in Kansas City. And I was like on the opening staff for this restaurant on the plaza. And he was like, that's not really what I meant, but okay.
It's a job, Dad.
So, right. It's a job. And I'm like, I don't know. I need to see how things are going to pan out. Like, and I also had this terrible feeling in my soul when I graduated, where I was like, I just realized that now that I'm out of school, the expectation is that I should be trading my time for money for the rest of my life. And I was like, the thought of it literally made me sick to my stomach.
Hold on a second. Say that again.
I had the realization that the expectation was that now for the rest of my life, after like having so many cool opportunities that I'd had the first 22 years of my life, now the expectation was that I would sell my time for money.
Trade your time
Yeah.
for your money.
For the rest of my
Man.
life. And I was like,
Yeah.
I don't think
I didn't sign up for this.
right. Well, but that's another thing where this is turning into a whole thing about my brother. Holy cow. But
Let's talk about Eric. That's fine.
But yeah, so realizing at an earlier age than most people how precious our time is.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like life is short. Yes, I learned that from losing my brother, but also life is really long. Like
Yes.
if life isn't short for you, it is long, and it is long enough that why do you want to spend time doing things that aren't meaningful?
Rigby, you are my spirit animal. I feel the exact same way, and I have for a long time. I think time's more precious than money, and I've always said that, meaning I will take all the money you want to give me or that I earn, but that it's more about time with me. If you were to ask me what my influence is when I talk to people about career paths or sales trainings, 'cause I do sales, to me it's about time. You give me autonomy and to be able to do what I can do, that's more precious than giving me $20,000 and being a micromanager. You know, or give me another bonus to be more. So I feel you there.
What is meaningful? Besides music, outside of music, you said living life meaningfully.
Well, I mean, this is where I want to be clear that that's different for different people.
Sure.
And you said you had your realization when you went to college that not everybody, you know, had the charmed dance party upbringing that you did, right?
Yeah, it's pretty true. No,
so I've had a similar revelation, and it was not that long ago, pretty far into my life, that like, you mean like not everybody wants to be a musician? Like not everybody is like...
Hold on.
Like
all of us want and dream to be a musician.
But it's not
I would love to be
though.
Steven Tyler.
Sure.
But I know. I'm
But
being silly.
I have a friend in Stillwater who is from my like the years where I wasn't really performing and nobody knew that this was even a thing that I did for a while in Stillwater. I'm skipping ahead, but she is head of accounting at the hospital in Stillwater. Or at least she was at the time that we were spending a lot of time together. And what that amounted to eventually was only really getting together like probably a couple of times a year for lunch. But like we'd catch up, like she'd tell me about her kids and like what's going on in her life and how's work and all of this. And her husband, also an accountant. And we would have our hour and a half catch up over lunch. And at the end of that lunch, every time, like she would look at me and be like, I could never live your life. And I looked at her and was like, I could never live your life.
Yours,
but like, I'm so glad that we all exist, because
Right.
like when I find it almost patronizing sometimes when, especially having started this later in my life, people who are my age or older who are just like, oh, well, it's just so inspiring. Like, I'm just so jealous of like how you're able to blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, well, if you don't love what you're doing, like, don't hang that on me and think that I have a charmed life, because I mean, I do, but I have worked hard and made a lot of tough decisions to slowly like create the life that I'm getting to live.
Yeah, they don't see the dark.
Yeah.
Well, and all of us have a calling, and obviously you're here because I want you to sing, but you are the very first guest in the very little over a year we've had the podcast that brought us flowers. Am I right?
That's the first thing I said was you brought
Beautiful.
flowers.
Yeah.
I meant most people bring alcohol, no pressure. No, but no, these are very beautiful.
Well, I have two responses to all of what you just said there.
Come in.
It wasn't much, but I'm going to respond. First of all, whenever I can, I always have orange roses with me when I play.
Okay.
It's a whole thing. That's a
your
whole other
thing.
story, right?
Okay. All right.
You might remember from our text conversation when we set this up, I said, I have the best bitters and I will come and I will make you old fashions.
Hey.
But it's October.
Yep. So there is snow.
And I realized, first of all, that you were doing Sober October.
Thank you.
And secondly, I am in the middle of this process right now of really paying attention to how alcohol affects my body. And I love good cocktails. Like,
Yeah.
I love good cocktails. It is not like
Your face,
like, there are
Rigby.
people who are like, give me all the cake, and I'm like, I do like cake, but like, give me a perfect old fashioned.
Man, you
Yeah.
should have got
And I
here
am
about an hour earlier. We had
then-
a
Yeah.
contest
Rigby,
earlier.
we had a competition.
Did we just do the hand
That was
signal?
Yeah,
today,
it
yeah.
just happened.
It just happened?
Yeah, you missed it.
Yes.
Did it end up being an old fashioned of some sort?
Of some sort, sure, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
it's-
you're gonna have to tell me about this. But I am noticing how my body is metabolizing alcohol differently now.
Good for you.
And I think it's also been affecting my voice. Like I've had some ups and downs with my
Yeah.
voice, and I'm gonna confess, because I've confessed all kinds of other things. I got completely day drunk with a friend 2 weeks ago, making old fashions on my front porch with this like beautiful bottle of bourbon that I brought back from Wyoming.
Love it.
And I had a date that night, and I literally had to go to the date hungover because she left and I crashed out. Like, this is how and I don't do that. Like, I am not like a drink to get drunk person. And I was,
Well, it
I
doesn't
wasn't
sound like you
ashamed.
tried. No, it's like you just.
I wasn't ashamed, but I was like kind of mad at myself because I ended up feeling like crap when I went to go
Yeah.
meet this person. Right.
Right.
And,
Your date's like, hey, you want a drink?
I was like, that's the actual last thing that I want right now.
Yeah, you're like,
Yeah.
So I actually felt like this might have been like the day that made me never want to drink again.
really?
I really like I
I've had a
felt
few of
because
those.
the next day I lost the next day. Like the next day I felt so terrible,
Wow.
and I was like, this was also like
You said 2 weeks ago.
117 proof. Like
Yeah.
this was like serious bourbon.
We're not
I should
challenging
not
you.
have been mixing it. Like
We're
yeah.
not challenging you. I think, no,
But-
I've had those.
Right.
I think all of us have, where you're like, I don't think I'm going to drink for a
Yeah.
while.
Mm-hmm.
And just for a
So
while.
I haven't been drinking the last couple of weeks. Friday night, I played one of the best shows that I have
There you go.
played. And it was just a bar thing, but it was like one of those great nights where everything clicks and you sound great and you feel great and everything's on point and the crowd is like there for it and like you're having a great time. Didn't drink. Next day, and I don't drink when I sing. Like I just,
Right.
as
Yeah.
a general rule, because I don't need another reason to forget things.
Yeah.
Boy, I do.
Oh my gosh. Saturday, I
need
played
all
this past Saturday.
Hold on.
Okay, we'll talk about that.
Yes. Okay, Rigby, I drink to forget things.
All right. So Saturday, I played not my favorite gig ever, but I like packed up as quickly as I could, skedaddled back to Stillwater to go to the Tumbleweed to hear Jason Scott open for Will Hogue.
High heat.
And
Jason
then we
Scott.
went to the Salty Bronc,
Yep, another cool place.
where they make one of my favorite things in the world, which is the Sazerac Old Fashioned. And I was
Uh-huh,
like,
yeah.
all right, I've had two good
Weeks?
performances
Oh.
and 2 good weeks, but so I want to have this tonight, but I'm gonna have one. I'm paying cash. There will be no open tab. Like I'm having one,
Good for you.
and I enjoyed it. But yesterday, my voice didn't feel up to
Really?
snuff, and even
Interesting.
today, I'm kind of like.
Well, we're getting
Clearing
Well,
ready
it
to
out.
find out.
it's
Yeah.
amazing, and there's no question. I mean, I was just listening to Huberman. You listen to Huberman.
Oh,
don't
I
you?
love
Yeah.
Hubert.
And he's got a whole piece on like alcohol and what it does to the body and how your brain responds to it, and it was interesting to listen to that, and because he talked about like the effects of it isn't just when you drink, but if you drink somewhat consistently, chronically, even if that's just a couple drinks a week, 2 drinks every Friday, but what ultimately like what happens in the time that you're not drinking in terms of your voice, your brain, your cognition, your memory, your anxiety levels, you know,
Yeah,
all
for
those
example,
kinds of things.
you
Like
could drink
it's
and you
bad.
could be really mean to your boyfriend
Oh yeah.
or girlfriend. And because you
Ultimately.
drank, you could say, if I wasn't drinking, I wouldn't be an asshole.
well,
I dated that guy.
yeah, I've. You dated Matthew? Wait a minute!
Oh,
you didn't
no.
tell me y'all had history.
You know, John Mayer had to get a shot in his throat because he was drinking too much whiskey. Ironically went to Wyoming and just like spent was it Wyoming? Whatever, Montana. Yeah, it was Montana.
I think he has a place in Montana.
And then that's where we got that nice little Southern album from
Yeah.
from a whiskey problem.
Well, guys,
Yeah.
we are. This is great, but I brought you here for a reason. So can we please pull out the guitar and do some singing here? I got to
Yes.
hear some music, guys.
Yeah.
Y'all agree?
Yeah,
Let's
do
get
it.
it set
We'll
up.
still do some chatting, but Dan's going to
Well,
set you up. Go ahead. So you keep
Yeah,
talking
while
about Dan.
Dan's setting up,
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting because you mentioned going into music, and this job that you were supposed to do out of college, and then you didn't do it.
Right.
But then you kind of mentioned, and I don't know your history, I don't know your story, and then you kind of mentioned
Right.
like later on actually going into music. So what happened?
Well,
to,
and
like,
here's it's funny. Like we're only like halfway there, man.
yeah,
We're good. Yeah.
So what ended up happening, and again, I'm going to completely date myself, which is something I don't normally do, but it's important. What happened at the end of that summer, instead of us all moving to Nashville, was 9/11.
Yeah.
And so like phones stopped ringing, like music business changed completely.
yeah,
Along with everything else.
Oh,
And that threw me into like a whole other level of like, well, now I really don't know what the heck is going on with my life. But I also was really glad I wasn't in the crowd of my friends who all graduated. I mean, I don't know if it was like this for y'all, but like it seemed like being a consultant was the thing.
Sure.
If you didn't know what else to do, like go work for Anderson. They'll pay you money and fly you all over the country to
Right.
like pretend like you
consultant.
know something about something, you know? And most of my friends who had graduated into these plush jobs that my dad, I'm sure, would have loved for me to have, all got laid off. Like they were the first ones laid off. And that was, I think, probably my first time as an adult, like starting to learn to trust my gut, even in the face of like what everybody else is saying. Oh, that doesn't make any sense. I'm like, I know it doesn't make sense, but it's what I know I'm supposed to do. So a year later, I ended up moving to Nashville just because I needed to go be someplace else. I did work for them for a while. Ironically, I was the world's worst booking agent. I'm sure they would still back me up on that.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're the
Thank
best at
you.
something. Oh,
I was terrible at it. Which I say it's ironic because now it's something that like my other musician friends are like, how do you book? Like, how do you like do all
Well,
what
now
you
you
do?
got
And
it
like, and
down,
I'm like,
yeah.
well, it's a lot of practice.
a lot of practice. I learned.
And being willing to just take no for an answer.
oh, well, that's my
while
life.
being relentless,
Would
you know?
would you like me to take your guitar out of the case, or
Yes.
would you like to do that yourself?
I will allow it.
Okay.
Thank
Wow, nice. I like that you're such a gentleman that you
Right?
asked permission.
you. I do need to figure out where my keys are because that's where my picks are.
But you don't mind when people touch your gibbler?
Oh my gosh.
Gibble?
Did you say your gibble?
His gibble. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You've been dating yourself too much. Leave it alone for a while. Won't be as sensitive over there.
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Look at Dan asking all the right questions.
All the right questions.
Rigby, we will get you set up. I promise you. Dan does this.
Awesome.
I promise you, he'll have it.
So, yeah, the way I describe my time in Nashville is I was there like using my spreadsheet skills to help other people, and I was miserable, like,
Yeah.
because that was when I started writing. The oldest song that I wrote that I kept, I wrote because I was miserable in Nashville, and so I wrote a really fun song about running away.
Real quick before we jump into music, you
Yes.
have something on your guitar.
I have something. Oh yeah, you know what? I used to have like a list of all the songs that I knew
Okay.
on here.
I love it. It's the
That's-
first for me. I've never seen. Okay.
That was. I used to busk on the promenade in Santa Monica.
Okay.
That was a little while after Nashville.
Yeah.
But that fell off pretty quickly when I started playing in earnest 5 years ago and started playing more, which is the short version of the long story. When did I start doing it like I mean it? 5 years ago.
Well, I'll tell you what. Of course, I've had a sneak peek at you already, right? Dan's first time you've heard her? Brandon?
First time.
I'm a pretty good booker myself. See
excited.
what I just did there? All right, so let's
So,
give
but
us
to answer
Yeah.
the rest of your question of what
Yep.
this is,
yeah.
it's the words to "I Shall Be Released"
Yeah.
that I was trying to remember for a show I was playing with some friends. Gosh, 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago, which was when, things like really kind of got rolling for me, and it was cool that we were singing that song, and it kind of
Release
stuck.
something.
Well,
Yeah.
I put the words on here, and I've never taken it off, and it's funny because I never play this song anymore.
Right.
But I think there was like something about that time, even though that song has so many different ways that it could be interpreted and so many meanings, but it meant a lot to me at the time, and I just never took it off.
So you are one of the type of guests that I love. We make a commitment and we follow through. I'm big on that with people.
Yeah,
No matter what walk of life, I think
it's hard
follow
to find
through
these days.
I think follow through is huge. Brandon and I share a passion for people who under promise and over deliver. Let me say that again. Under promise and over deliver doesn't mean I'm setting the bar low. It's what you're doing. So you knew you were coming on this podcast. You said a couple times you've been listening. So you kind of probably knew the songs you kind of wanted to sing. Is that fair?
It is, but I'm also based on our conversations,
There
maybe
you go.
adjusting.
So as the
Yeah.
artist that you are, and I'm not, what song would you like to play for us first? And if you want to play that same damn song you just played, I would not be upset.
Well, the one I just played, I wasn't planning to play, but it segues well because, again, I was starting to write when I lived in Nashville.
Right.
Nobody knew that I even sang.
Right.
And to make matters worse, I really wanted to learn how to do live sound. And, at the time, what was the best way to do that? Volunteer at my church. And the boys wouldn't let me help with sound.
Ah, okay.
And so, everything that I tried to, stick my neck out a little bit to try to learn where I really wanted to be, I got
Slapped your back.
I got nothing back.
Yeah.
Except for rejection. But the beautiful thing about it is that I did fall backwards into, a really beautifully talented community of people, to where, it was the first time in my life that I would get invited to parties. And because I was there with musicians, I got to stay after everyone else left when the guitars came out. The civilians would leave by about 1 o'clock to go home and go to bed.
Me.
Yeah.
And then the musicians sat around in the living room and played songs together.
Well, let's hear
One
one.
by
of them.
one.
Sang and
Let's hear one.
So I like to say this is the oldest song that I wrote that I kept. And that's not original. Somebody else said that, but I don't remember who. But the oldest song that I wrote that I have kept, it's actually on my record, is a song that I wrote at that time. And this is probably the first one that I wrote where I thought, I think I might actually sometimes be good at this.
Let's hear it.
And incidentally, the first person I tried playing it for in Nashville, it's a 2-minute song, and she got up to check on something in the kitchen halfway through. So that put me back in the box a little more.
A little humbling. Humility is a good thing.
Oh, gosh. But I wrote a song about running away, but I didn't make it very far because it's called Kentucky. Come on, baby, let's just run away. Take me to a better place. Maybe some lovely place like Kentucky. You and me, babe, with the top rolled down. Come on, let's blow this town. 'Cause I'm tired of dreaming about Kentucky. Do you remember when we met? How could I forget cherry blossoms springing up new life? Now leaves are turning green to brown. Oh, the leaves, they're falling down. What better time to take me for a drive? So come on, baby, take me for a ride. I'll sit on the passenger side, and you can sing your song about Kentucky. You know, babe, this city ain't my scene, and I said I'd wear your ring.
You can tell me all your dreams in Kentucky, yeah. I know the way well in my mind as we drive down 65, autumn breezes blowing through our hair. At Bowling Green we'll hang a right and we'll start our new life. You steal a kiss because we're almost there, and it's you and me, babe, with the top rolled down, headed for your small hometown, and we'll watch the sun go down in Kentucky, in Kentucky, in Kentucky, yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Thank you.
So the name of that song's Idaho?
Yes, that used to be the joke I'd always make from stage. I'd say,
sorry.
you know, anybody here from Missouri? I've got a special song just for
It's a
you.
good
I wrote it just for you, and then
Yeah.
be
Well,
like,
that
oh, New
is.
Jersey. Yeah.
You have. I can't be the first person that's ever told you this. Okay, how about this? We'll play this game. Do people tell you sound like somebody?
Sometimes, yes.
And sometimes, who do they think it is?
I have heard Patsy Cline. I've heard Brandy Carlisle. I've heard Linda Ronstadt. That was different.
So I was thinking Brandy.
I
I love Brandy Carlisle, by the way.
love Brandy Carlisle.
Her last album was sick.
Yeah.
That's who you sound like to me.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm dead serious. Like if I close my eyes, you have a quality about your voice that is unique, even separate from her. I wonder how you were so young and did your lip syncing and all that and not know that you have this giant voice. Like, and this is a decent room to sing in.
Yeah.
But with acoustics and all, but you have a powerful voice.
Thank you. Thank you. I think part of that, as far as not figuring out what it really is or wants to be, is this is also where being a modern languages major came into play. I was terrible at grammar in French, but very good at accents.
Okay.
Like, and my voice has always been the same way. Like when I was doing more churchy stuff, if I was supposed to sing a Jennifer Knapp song, I'd like make my voice sound like
her.
Jennifer Knapp.
Right.
If I needed to sing, like I have always been good at manipulating my voice to make it sound like what I wanted. And so,
I knew there was a correlation.
Yeah.
So with a lot of women I hang out with, they're used to manipulating men. See what I just did there? That's
wow.
such
And
an
see, I have
easy-
the opposite
that
experience
was
with men manipulating women.
So
So,
that was just such an
Oh,
easy.
you both have
No,
been in a
when you manipulate your voice,
sad relationships.
So it's interesting that you can. Well, he's in such a good place right now,
Right.
so he can be joyful.
I actually said this weekend, married people are so smug.
Yeah.
I'm not married.
I mean,
Yet, but you're on the way.
if
like
we-
you're
if we would've
walking
met
down
him
the aisle right now.
if we'd have been
Tomorrow.
having this in 2019, we'd probably have a little different deal.
Yeah, could be.
Is that fair?
Could be. Yeah, 27.
Manipulating your voice, so
Yeah.
I'm being serious. So imitation, right? So what I hear you saying is because of, man, and I remember what you said earlier, at a young age you wanted to learn Italian and move, then you went international. You're saying you could almost imitate the voice and the
Yeah.
accents and stuff. That is power in your voice.
Yeah,
Like I
thank
can
you.
tell, like I don't think you went, hey, I want to sound like Brandy Carlisle, but man, it's just
Well,
amazing.
and what that has amounted to in the now like 5.5 years since I have had the opportunity to play like in a way that I always wanted but really never thought was going to happen. Like there was a place and time 10 years ago, 12 years ago when I just was like, well, I almost did it. Like I moved to LA and I started the thing.
Right,
Met a dude, ended up in Oklahoma.
right. There's a lyric.
Long story short,
Right.
now I'm there and he's not.
Yeah.
So,
Did he
Oh, I hear a
manipulate
song
you into
coming out of
going to
that one.
Oklahoma?
no, I went willingly, mostly.
You'd love.
You're just trying to stir the pot over there. This isn't about him.
So-
This is about me. But there was a time where
I love you more.
thought,
Yeah.
like, well, I mean, I was doing things that I loved doing. Like I went to grad school. I got to do
Right.
I got to pursue a lot of things that I'm really interested in. But the whole time there was this part of me that was like, but we were going to do that thing. Like, did we almost do it and we just aren't doing it? So, the beautiful thing is that in 2017, the same time that it became very clear that my marriage was not long for this world, very organically, without me pursuing it, opportunities started coming into my life to play music.
Awesome.
And so part of that journey has been figuring out I can make my voice sound like whatever I want. I feel like there's like a metaphor for my life here. Like I can be all these different things that other people want me to be or think that I should be or expect me to be, even if it's not like they're putting it on me. Like we just have our perceptions of people.
Right.
And like there are all these other expectations or perceptions on me, but like what does my voice sound like? What does my voice want to sound like? How does my voice naturally want to sound? And so it's almost been like teaching myself how to sing over again and recognizing when I'm pushing it or when I'm manipulating it, and like, how do I just make it its authentic sound the way it wants to be?
You think back to that time of this split up, and I'm familiar with, heartbreak and split ups. Is there a song that came out of that you'd like to share with us?
You were just reading my mind today.
Well, thank you.
Because this is one that I had already decided we were going to play. This was actually, I actually don't often talk about where this song came from because people very easily attach their own stories to this song.
Right.
And it's been like a really beautiful thing to watch people respond to this song. But I'll tell you guys, and now I guess tell everybody.
Thank you.
All 350 of your subscribers on YouTube.
Damn right.
That
At least 351 after this.
we're gonna get pretty deep into it here for a second. So, at the time in August 2017, when my separation was starting and we were doing like the push-pull dance back and forth of like how this is going to work, my now ex showed up at the house with these earrings for me, like this gift, like a gift box, obviously from the jeweler in town. Like as soon as he handed me the bag, I just started crying because I'm like, you just don't, like, you don't get it. And after he left that particular day, I went to the jeweler, and I knew they didn't take returns because I looked online and discovered he had used the money from our joint bank account to buy this gift that he thought I should be so thrilled that he was making this effort, but he wasn't doing any of the things I'd actually said, this is what I need if we are going to work this out. That were not things, it was stuff, And so I go to the jeweler, beg them to like return it, and thankfully they did. And I'm driving home and I'm just livid, and I call my mom and I was like, Mom, $300 if you wanted to spend $300 on something that would win me over, here are things that might have actually done the trick. But like buying me jewelry, like I wear the same things every day. Like I've never been a jewelry person. I've never asked for things. Like I want time together. I want experiences. I want, like, these are the things that I want. And like, as I'm making this list to my mom, I was like, oh shit, I think I'm gonna write a song about this. Right. And, I had just bought myself this hollow body electric that came to me, and I bought it for a song. Like it was ridiculous. And so this was actually the first song that I wrote on that guitar that I bought for myself that summer. And I've had people say, you're going to sing that at my wedding someday. I've had people say, you're going to sing that at my funeral someday. And yeah, we'll see. This is called Buy Me a Piano. You could buy me a piano or an old bass guitar.
wanna go that far. I have no need for trinkets. I don't care about shiny things. But baby, buy me a piano. Forget that diamond ring. Or you could drive me to the mountains, and we could hike Yosemite, watch the sunset over Half Dome, and count the stars from the valley. 'Cause I have no need for trinkets. I don't care about shiny things. But baby, drive me to the mountains and skip that diamond ring. Oh, yeah. 'Cause I don't need you to adorn me, and your flowers fade and die. Show me you could be my soulmate, and we'll be set for life. And maybe when I have a bad day, you could just be there. You could listen to my story and show how much you care. 'Cause I have no need for trinkets. Our most precious gift is time. Baby, I just need your loving, and that don't cost a dime. But you could buy me a piano. Ooh, oh yeah.
Man,
Welcome, son. That's beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Really.
Thanks.
This guy gets emotional sometimes.
All right. I mean, if it helps, you're not the first person to have that.
That's a good one.
response. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
oh, that's beautiful. Thank you. I love music.
Thank you.
Man, that's I got like that one other time with Kaylee Bishop. That I wasn't expecting that, so thank you. When you write something like that and it comes out of that place that I think we've all been, right? And then you play it and you play it and you play it. Does it still have the same meaning to you?
Almost every time.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
I couldn't imagine releasing that to the world over and over. And I talked about being vulnerable and It's one of the many things I love about musicians is that they put their life out there and say, here, here's the dirt, as you so speak. But like the more you do it, it's still same feeling every time, huh?
The reason that I continue to choose gratitude for the timing of finally getting to do this is that it was such an up and down, and it was such a, is it going to happen? Is it not going to happen? And like, so much of my life that I didn't even believe that I was like worthy of getting to do the thing that I really wanted to do.
Right.
That now that it has finally happened, like I feel like with very few exceptions, 5.5 years down this path now, I still treat every chance to perform like an audition. And I feel, I remember that not nobody, but like chances are wherever I'm going, the people there haven't ever heard these songs before.
Right.
And yeah, I've heard them a million times.
Right.
And it's really easy to think like, I'm bored. Like I've gone through seasons of being like, I'm bored with myself. How can I expect other people not to be bored with me? But
I don't want to buy a fucking piano.
But think about your favorite. I mean, we were talking about all these bands earlier. Think about your favorite bands. Like you will continue to buy tickets and show up to hear them play the same damn songs that you've listened to them play for 30 years.
Absolutely.
So if I love these songs, why wouldn't I play them the same way? You know what I mean? Like,
so I loved the song, obviously. I loved it. But you did something that very few artists that I've witnessed can do. And I looked at Brandon because it was beautiful. So you told the story and kind of a lesson, and then you made it personal. And so it changed, and even your tone and your voice and like this sweet, and then crescendo back up.
There was a lot of control and a lot of range.
Rigby, I'm telling you, Brandon and I have the best jobs in the world to be able to sit here to this close to greatness. So thank you for sharing that.
Well, do one more for us.
Yeah.
One more. Dealer's choice.
Yeah, can we end on one where Matthew isn't crying?
Or
is that what you're good at? Okay.
Okay. I'm gonna no. It's funny. I put Kentucky in there instead. There was another one that I was gonna play, but this is the one that I close every single set, and I'm a big believer in you dress for the job you want, not the job you have. So
hey.
We were just talking about that last night.
Yeah.
We were just talking about your style last night.
I have dressed the same since 1990.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's embarrassing.
Yeah, but are you living your best life?
Pretty damn sure.
Well, then.
Yeah, pretty sure.
There you go.
Okay.
So I have certain things that exist in my, like every set that I play, whether I'm playing a 20-minute opening set for somebody or whether I'm playing 3 hours in a bar, like I close the same way every night. And now I'll give you a little spoiler alert for Thursday since you're coming. I always close with first Brandi Carlile, The Story, and I have a whole reason behind that. And I'm just gonna make him cry all night. It's gonna be awesome. And then I play this song. So this is a song I wrote when I was living in Los Angeles. The first part of this song that came to me, I was washing my hair. I was in the shower and I had this very like rhythmic line come through, and I was like, what the crap does that mean? Like, what is that? Like, what is this? But it wouldn't leave me alone. I was exhausted. I worked at a bakery in LA, and it was holidays, and I was like, had just put in like a 14-hour day, and was going to get up the next morning and go do it again. And I was like, I just got to go to bed. And this song, like not this song at this point, it was just this line wouldn't leave me alone. And so I was like, fine. And at the time I used to keep yellow legal pads next to my bed. And so I wrote it down for another day and went to bed, right? I also kept a bottle of Evan Williams next to my bed. So there probably was. I wrote it down, I took a shot, and I went to bed, but whatever. And then a couple months later, had like a like brief relationship with somebody. It was probably like one of my first little heartbreaks, but at that age, everything's dramatic, and it felt bigger than it was. But I actually had a chance to like have one last conversation with him, and I just like let him have it. It was like, this is how you did me wrong, and like I get like we're going different ways, but like you could have done this better, and this is what you could have done, and so there, like that was it, right? And I hung up, and I was like, that felt really good, right? He took it really well too. To his credit, he took it pretty well. But I can't remember if I started the rest of this song that night or if it was the next morning. But I started writing it, and as I was writing, I realized like, oh wait, this fits with that other thing. It's like one of these deals with all my yellow legal pad notes. I like start digging through. And like, I think this fits with that thing. Where is that? And I dug through it and found it. It was like, oh, it totally does. So anyway, this is called Feel. Anyway, here's Wonderwall. No.
Last night, I think I might have let it all out. Didn't really mean to shout, but it felt damn good. I don't know if I finally might have gotten through. I gave my heart to you. I done all I could. But babe, if I was just to always turn tail and run every time I got a little bit shy of the gun, I'd take a million steps back for every step forward. And it's not that I don't get scared as shit, it's just I don't think it's any way to live. We gotta move in close and love just a little more. And so I feel like I'm just getting stronger, and I feel like I'm moving on, but I feel if we lingered here longer, you may feel we'd start to get along. Well, I know you've been hurt before. Baby, I'm not that girl. Don't ever wanna be. And you know, I love you till your very last nerve. By grace, that's what we deserve. Someone to love us fiercely. You think that you were too lazy, too bored, too bad to ever think you had a shot at the things I've had? Well, you got it all wrong if you wanted to love higher. Because while we were still waiting for life to begin, he paid for every last one of your mortal sins, from your very first breath down to the wire. And so I feel like I'm just getting stronger, and I feel like I'm moving on, but I feel if we lingered here longer, you may feel we'd start to get along. 'Cause I feel like I'm just getting stronger, and I feel like I'm moving on.
Rigby, it has been an honor to have you on the show today.
It has been an honor to be here.
How can our audience find you?
Website is rigbysummer.com.
Okay.
Rigby like Eleanor Rigby, summer like the season. I'm in all the socials at Rigby Summer. I'm really hoping that people will follow me on Bands in Town, because that is like the best thing. And if people aren't using Bands in Town and they love live music, then they don't really love live music. Because
Dan,
I
we
have
got
Bands in
this.
Town.
Yep.
yeah,
Dan, we got that Bands in Town, boss? Yes. Okay.
yeah.
Uh,
We didn't even get to talk about y'all's stuff. Shoot.
you know what, Rigby? Sometimes it is what it is.
It just goes where it goes.
We have been a proponent of the stuff we wear. Obviously, people who listen to us now, they know what we promote, but we want to promote you. And I am just honored. And I can speak for the boys. Dan, you got a mic yet? Yes. You blew me away today in many ways. You're funny, your story. Thank you for sharing with us about Eric. I think, whenever we have loss in our lives, there's paths we can take. And I mean, even your tape cassette today. So
I can't believe it was in that bag. I was like, oh my gosh.
So thank you so much. You guys want to say something before we get out of here?
No, just really had a good time today.
Rigby, thank you for sleeping
You're
around
fun.
with Dr. Brandon
Thanks.
and Matthew. We are just honored to have you, and I will be there Thursday night at your show. I promise.
Cool.
All right.
Thank you.
All right.
Sweet.
God bless.
Thank you.
When the sun goes down and the moon is high, we'll be chasing stars till the morning light. Come on, fly with me.
I'm blown away.
Take a ride.
You had no idea.
And it feels so good to break away.
See, I know, me too. I was like, yeah, but sleep.